Hey there, everyone. Happy Monday. All right, guys, Coach Courtney here. As soon as I pushed the live button, I just realized I think I accidentally brewed some coffee. Excuse me for a second. But anyway, here, guys, we are live. Welcome to my kitchen. So we're here today, and I wanted to share with you guys how you can transition to a low carb lifestyle. Guys, this is something that I have been doing for a long time now. I have gone through a journey of eating the standard American diet, and I was someone who went through the fast food drive-through like literally at least once a day, and I was guzzling like 2 to 4 Dr. Peppers every single day. So I know, I totally understand, guys, what it sounds like when people talk about keto diets and low carb diets. It can really seem super overwhelming. And I will say this, guys, is that like I always feel like there's always improvements that I can make to my own nutrition and my own diet and also my lifestyle habits. So this is exactly why I want to share all this great stuff with you, because it's helped me so much, and it just makes everything so much easier as far as like weight loss goes, especially as we get older and we become more insulin resistant. So guys, hopefully some of you guys will hop on here live. So I'm in my kitchen, I'm just hanging out here, and I'm gonna be sharing with you guys how you can start to transition to a low carb lifestyle so it doesn't feel overwhelming. Because guys, it really does take just a few little changes and being consistent with that, and just really building on more challenging habits as you grow. So I'm really excited to share this with you. And I do want to say this, before I forget, I just made a little recipe guide. It has some of my favorite new recipes and also a few that I actually haven't tried yet. But I have a really good meal planning software, and it's so good, guys. So I have access to all these great recipes, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys. If you like, I would love to share you this new resource. It's just a whole bunch of recipes. They're all fall themed and all low carb, and they're all like low carb, slow cooker meals or pressure cooker meals, or even like one pan meals. And it's just super simple, and I love a lot of these recipes, and I'm going to be sharing with those with you guys today. So if you want the free recipes, what you can do is direct message me, and I will send you, I think it's like 24 fall themed low carb recipes, and most of them are really, really easy to make. So guys, we're going to go ahead and dive into the 5 ways you can start to transition to a low carb lifestyle. So step number 1, guys, is start to work on your beverages. Okay, so let's try to get to focusing on water. Guys, a really good habit to start to implement is to get at least 64 ounces of water a day, working up to at least 100 a day. But guys, like, let's start to really pay attention to the drinks that we're including in our diet, because in fact, like, we really need a calorie deficit. We need to focus on that if weight loss is the goal, if fat loss is the goal. And a lot of times, you know, things like soda, juices, even like healthy juices, right? Those can be really loaded in a lot of carbs and a lot of sugar. So we just really want to be aware of that, because all of those carbs and sugar adds calories to our diet. So, or if you're like me and you like wine, guys, that can really cause issues with trying to be in a calorie deficit. So in order to cut your carbohydrate intake and also lower your calories in order to reach your body composition goals is really just go all in, guys, with focusing on what you're drinking. So I suggest doing things like jazzing up your water. You guys can do things like add cucumber slices, lemon slices, lime. Those types of things can really add a lot of good flavor. And I will say this, guys, is good to try to stay away from the fizzy stuff. If you're going to have like a fizzy water, keep it to like 1 or less a day, because that can really contribute to some bloating. So make sure you're getting plenty of water every day, working up to at least 64 ounces. And then you guys can add things like coffee. Like, I love to have coffee with just a little bit of half and half or heavy whipping cream. That's what I do in the morning. I do usually a cup of that. Another thing you guys can do is things like hot tea, especially as we move into the fall season. All right, guys. guys, if you have any questions about that first step, let me know, okay? So step number 2, guys, in order to lower your carbohydrate intake, a really good thing that you can do is start to swap carbohydrates for things like fruit. So that way, guys, you're cleaning up the quality of your diet, you're cutting back on the processed foods. So instead of having things like donuts and sweets and things like that, baked goods, just try to go to just having fruit for a snack or for dessert. Yes, it's definitely not going to be low carb. I will say that I love to enjoy strawberries on a regular basis. They're very low carb, but most of your fruits are going to be higher in carbohydrates. But I do think that is a really good shift if this is all new to you, to just start to decrease on the amount of processed foods in your diet and try to satisfy your sweet tooth by doing things like adding like fresh, like basically fruits, or even like naturally sweetened things like honey, maple syrup, as long as you're keeping your portions in check and you're being aware of how much you are using. But transitioning to a low carbohydrate lifestyle, it's really important to decrease the amount of processed foods that you're ingesting on a regular basis. So guys, if you have any questions about that, let me know. Okay, number 3 is purge processed foods. So we talked a little bit about this, but here's the thing that you guys want to do is actually make sure that you're not just taking things out of your diet, because that can feel really depriving and overwhelming, but making sure that you're doing things like replacing that food. So what I like to do is kind of pick like a vegetable maybe every week and just kind of have fun with it. So one week it might be cauliflower for me. Right now I have a whole bunch of spaghetti squash. Where is that? Yeah, I made a crap ton. Guys, spaghetti squash, I love it. Like, it's not super low carb, but it can definitely fit in a low carb lifestyle, and it's definitely better than things like grains as far as carbohydrate intake goes, or content goes. But yeah, I made a whole bunch of spaghetti squash. We literally ate so much of it, and that's all. There's not really much, we didn't make much of a dent in that. So needless to say, we have a lot of spaghetti squash. But this is so easy, guys. Like, I literally just cut this in half, a huge spaghetti squash. You roast it face down, okay, for like I think it took 40 to 50 minutes, and it was a 2.5 pound spaghetti squash. But what I did before I roasted it, I brushed it with a little bit of olive oil, some salt and pepper, took out the seeds, and then you just roast it for about 40 to 50 minutes. And it literally, you just put a fork to it, and you get all of these awesome like stringy squash. And it's just like spaghetti, but it definitely doesn't taste like it. It kind of has like a nutty flavor. So we did spaghetti squash, and we did stuffed chicken breast with cream cheese and artichokes, and it was so good. It was super satisfying, and it was pretty low carb. So I might have to share that recipe with you guys. But here, guys, we are live. We are talking about how to lower your carbohydrate intake. So we are number 4. Swap your sweet food for savory foods. So this is a game changer, guys. Like, you want to just slowly transition to just depending on where you are. So if you're eating like the standard American diet, guys, just really easing into this whole low carb lifestyle is where it's at. But what you can start doing, one thing that I started doing a while back was going from like a sweet breakfast of like oatmeal, yogurt, that type of thing, to transitioning to more like savory. So now I have things like turkey sausage. I love bacon and eggs. So I usually go pretty savory. And to be honest, sometimes, guys, like, my breakfasts are kind of weird. Like the other day I had one of my favorite recipes, the cleaned up chicken salad. So basically it's like apple, celery, chicken, ground up, and it has like this really good lemon Dijon dressing. I had that for breakfast. So I kind of been transitioning to more of a savory type breakfast and really just eating more savory foods in general. It's really been helpful with getting my carb intake and also satisfying my sweet tooth by getting more protein and also more dietary fat in my diet. And I will say this, guys, once you start to kind of get used to a low carb lifestyle, if you have your macros right, if you have enough protein and you're also getting enough dietary fat, in your diet, it really does help with the satiety. Like, I'm actually able to eat, like, sometimes I'll even eat like 12 to 1400 calories a day, that's definitely a calorie deficit for me, but I really don't feel that hungry, to be honest. I actually feel pretty satisfied with all the fiber, all of the fat, and also the protein that I'm getting. So I will say this, guys, it's really just hard in the beginning, but if you take these little tiny steps and you get some momentum with that, you're also gonna see, if you get your macros right, that hunger's really not a problem, as long as you start to really dial in that nutrition as you go on. So guys, we have one more thing, and we will do a quick recap, and I'm gonna also share with you guys my meal prep that I did over the weekend. But number 5, the last way that you guys can transition to a low carb lifestyle is learn how to manage your mind. So I don't want to get too much into this, but guys, everyone emotionally eats. I don't care who you are. I know I do sometimes. So whether it's, night snacking, or, maybe you're in a habit of going through the drive-thru after work, or whatever the case may be, guys, we really need to start become aware of those patterns and see when and where and what situations you're in when you start to do things like overeat. That is so important, guys. And I think that's really where everyone that is struggling with this needs to start, especially if it's like a very much regular thing. This is exactly where I would start. Like for me, I know I started making like just slow changes with my diet. I went from eating a lot of fast food to just incorporating, just slowly trying new vegetables and fruits, and trying to up my protein intake, and just generally start to make good, different, better choices. But guys, like a lot of it is really addressing things like eating at night. So I know for me, I really just focus on that for the most part. And I felt like if I kind of just let myself go on the tracking the food and really just focus on the night eating, because that was where I was going over on my calories and being in a calorie surplus, then I could really dial that habit in, and I was able to actually stop eating at night. So it's very, very rare for me nowadays to eat after dinner, unless it's like the one time during the month I will actually go get ice cream or go out and get some dessert. So that's really the best place to start, guys, is if you are eating out of stress or emotion, focus on that first and really start to become aware of those triggers that are causing you to overeat. So guys, we are going to recap, but before we do that, we are here live and we're talking about transitioning to a low carb lifestyle, but I'm also going to show you guys some of my foods that I love to eat with my low carb lifestyle. So here's one of my favorite fancy lunches. This is my steak and blue cheese salad. It is freaking fabulous, guys. So I have some flank steak here. All I do, I cook this on medium heat with a cast iron skillet inside, with a little bit of olive oil. I probably put like maybe 1 or 2 teaspoons of olive oil in here. I sear it for about, it probably takes, I do about one, I would say it's almost not quite a pound and a half, maybe about 1.25 pounds of flank steak. Season it with some steak seasoning. Guys, I cook it over medium. And I cook it for probably about 6 to 8 minutes on each side. And I just go by doneness. I know how to cook steak, but Jacob does help me with this. But guys, with blue cheese, organic greens, let's see, I have cherry tomatoes from my garden and sliced red onions. And then I serve it with the balsamic vinaigrette that I make. It's literally just olive oil and some balsamic vinegar. This is so good. Now, I will say that the steak itself, even at Aldi, I think this cost me about $10 to $12. But guys, like really do the math on that. It's so easy to make, and I can make 4 servings of it. That breaks down to like what, like three something a serving. So that's not too bad, right? All right, next up, guys, I have sausage. This is actually in the meal plan, or not in the meal plan, the recipe guide that I was talking about, the fall recipes. Okay, keep in mind that this is refrigerated, so it probably doesn't look super delicious, but I promise you guys, if you like sausage and you like eggs, these are so good, and they're actually filling, unlike some of the other breakfast egg muffins I've had. But this has just some regular ground sausage and let's see, some organic greens, and then I also put some green onions in here. Guys, these are so good. These are sausage egg muffins. I do believe they're in the recipe guide, the fall recipe guide. So if you guys want some free low carb recipes, guys, just direct message me, or you can comment below and I'll message you and I will just send that right over. And you don't have to be on my email list. This is just a gift from me to you. So if you guys are interested, comment below or direct message me and I'll email you the new recipes. All right, and I got my spaghetti squash. I think I showed you guys my spaghetti squash. Super yummy. It's just nutty in flavor. We had this last night with stuffed chicken breast. Oh my gosh, so good. Super good. And I have one more thing. I made some meat sauce. I love doing this because, guys, like, if you have a family, just spaghetti, isn't it just easy to make? So I made this yesterday, and I like to do it. I might do it over spaghetti squash, but to be honest, I think I have some zucchini. I think I prefer the zucchini noodles. I have one of those spiralizers. So guys, if you want to go low carb, get one of those. It's really cool. Basically, you can like crank it and make some zucchini noodles. So I might have to post a picture, but that's what I got for my meal prep. So some meat sauce, steak and blue cheese salad, sausage egg muffins, and then what is this? Oh, I forgot to show you guys that this is so good. So my personal training client, and she's also my coaching client, I work with her one-on-one, Mandy. She posted this in the group. It probably doesn't look super delicious, but I promise you that I just made this yesterday and it's so good. So this is the Hearty Kale and Apple Tuna Salad. So it has some organic kale in there, and then I put a can of tuna in there, or a pouch of tuna, sunflower seeds. It has chopped apple, celery, which I actually put in the food processor because I'm lazy. I just chopped it up in the food processor. And then the dressing is Dijon mustard and olive oil. And then I added a little bit of lemon juice. It is so good, guys. Like, it is, the sweetness of the apple just made my soul just so happy yesterday. So I made 2 servings, and yeah, so I actually have the recipe. I think I posted, no, I have not posted in the group. Maybe I did. No, Mandy posted a picture. That's what happened. And then I put the recipe in the comments, but I'll probably go ahead and make another post separate so you guys can see that. But you can also get that meal, that recipe, if you guys direct message me, I'll send you, it's like 24 fall recipes, and a lot of them are slow cooker meals, pressure cooker meals, just super, super duper easy. All right, guys, so we're here live. If you have any questions, let me know. So we're going to recap the 5 ways that you can transition to a low carb lifestyle. Number 1, go sugar free with your drinks. Hey guys, I did not say this earlier, but let's even try to stop the diet soda. I don't want to get too much into it, but again, baby steps. So maybe you need to switch from regular soda to diet, but I do highly suggest just stopping the diet soda. If you want to know why, you can message me or comment below. But that being said, guys, water, okay? Tea, hot tea, guys. I love herbal hot teas. I might have to post some in the comments that I really like. Herbal teas are great. I like coffee, either black or with a little bit of half and half, or almond milk. You guys can also do things like, I love like bulletproof coffee. So if you guys want to go like low carb keto, you guys can always do like a bulletproof coffee in the morning, which is basically putting like a tablespoon of grass-fed butter, or I use ghee, or you can use coconut oil, and then you can blend that up with coffee. And I actually have a recipe for that. If you guys are interested, you can comment in below and I will drop that in the comments. Number 2, we talked about sweets for fruits. So one way you guys can start to transition, again, fruit is not the lowest carb thing in the world, but I do think it's a good transition to go from things like, you know, like baked goods, donuts, that type of thing, snacking on things like that, to transitioning to things like fruit, or even like, I love to do fruit smoothies. So doing things like a strawberry smoothie with maybe a scoop of whey protein and some unsweetened almond milk. That's a really good way, guys, that you can start to transition, you know, and really start to clean up your diet, start to lower your carb intake, and really actually start to transition to eating a more whole foods diet versus eating a lot of processed foods. Okay, number 3, purge processed foods. So kind of piggybacking of what we just talked about, but remember, you want to add foods back in. So I talked about how you guys can do things like find like a fun fruit or vegetable to kind of experiment with, like kale, cauliflower, spaghetti squash, right? That type of thing. And also doing things, you guys can do things like, I really like some things like RX bars. Those are like all natural ingredient protein bars that you guys can just get at Walmart. They're pretty good actually, and they're decent in nutrition. So I like those for on the go. I'm a huge fan of like raw nuts. I always keep almonds on me. Beef jerky, especially the lower carb or zero carb kinds and varieties. I love me some, especially organic beef jerky. You guys can also do things like tuna and salmon pouches. I love taking a pouch of salmon and then mixing in some avocado, some lemon juice, maybe a little bit of lemon zest, and then either dipping it in some gluten-free crackers. That's one good transition. Or now I'm basically to the point where I'm actually pretty happy dipping some salmon salad with some cucumber slices. So I'm really just kind of going more savory, which is number 4. So number 4, guys, transitioning to more savory foods. So think, instead of oatmeal and cereals, that type of thing, granola for breakfast, maybe you eat something like a turkey sausage. You can always do things like, sometimes I'll even just grab some lunch meat, a hard-boiled egg, and maybe some fresh strawberries. I also love bacon and eggs or any kind of scramble or omelet. So really transitioning to that, guys, is going to be able to not only lower your carb cravings, but I promise you guys, once you start eating this way, the cravings for sugar start to get less and less and less and less and less, to where it's really very, very manageable. You just have to get past that transition, and really how you're going to do it is just slowly and gradually, and then just make more challenging changes to your diet as those habits start to get more and more ingrained. So I cannot stress that enough. You will start to kind of have a shift in your palate. And also, like I explained earlier, once you have your calories right and your macros right, and really that comes down to your macros and making sure you're getting enough protein in and also enough fat to where you're feeling satiated. That's really, really important, keeping that craving for carbs under control. All right, guys. And then finally, we talked about managing your mind. So that's the last thing, guys. We all do it. We eat because it's a shit day. We eat because we're tired. We go through the drive-thru because we don't want to have to make a decision, and we just want to eat, right? We don't want to have to go home and cook something, right? So it's so important, ladies, that we are doing things like managing our mind, right? Identifying when we're eating out of stress, that is so important to know. So that way you guys can start to make goals towards changing those habits. So doing things like, I know for me, I was eating a lot at night, and that was really causing me to gain a lot of weight. So I started looking at, maybe I need to eat more protein. So I started eating more protein, and then I decided, hey, I'm actually not eating enough calories during the day. So I'm so hungry at night, I can't control myself by the time I sit down for the first time, right? So for me, it was actually just changing my macronutrients a little bit, and also actually adding a little bit more quality calories into my day so I wasn't so hungry at night. So doing things like that, guys, is really going to go a long way to making sure, because here's the thing, guys, low carb actually kind of transitions to a low calorie diet. And that's one way it does work, is because by lowering your carb intake, guys, generally a low carb diet is a lower calorie diet. You're going to be able to be in a calorie deficit. And if you work to get your macros right, and that's why it's so important, guys, to learn how to do things like macro counting, because the thing is that if you need a low calorie diet, like for me, a calorie deficit, I have to eat like below 1,400 calories. That's really hard to do. So the only way I can do that is by making sure that my protein is dialed in. I'm getting plenty of protein. Like I'm eating like at least 100 grams of protein. My goal is actually like 125 grams a day. So I have to make sure to really stay on tracking my food so I know my protein is high enough, and also making sure my fat is high enough to counterbalance that decrease in my carbohydrates. That is the only way I'm able to control my hunger. So that's where macro counting really comes in. So guys, you can get started with macro counting by just focusing on your carbs. So guys, if you have any questions, let me know. Drop those in the comments. So we have the fall recipe guide. If you guys want a copy of that, all you need to do, comment below and I'll direct message me. Or if you guys already know how to get a hold of me, you can text message or message me on Facebook, okay? And I'll be happy to send that over. Just a gift from me to you to get started. It's got some great slow cooker and also pressure cooker meals. Some one-pan meals in there that are kind of more fall themed, a little more hearty, and they're all low carb. So I would love to share that with you. Let me know if you're interested. All right, guys, we are going to be talking about this all this week. So stay tuned for more things like recipes. I might throw in a meal prep demo or two. So I love sharing this stuff with you guys. All right, have a great Monday. Thanks for being here. All right, bye.